All right, welcome back. So, picked up this Rockstead HIGO II X-CF, and I worked on an agreement with the seller where I'd pay part up front, get it in hand, and then pay the rest. And the condition was definitely more used than advertised. It was advertised as never carried or cut, which I can see it did not get used to cut, but it was like, it's like a 3-year-old knife, I think, or like 2.5-year-old knife, and the owner manipulated it a ton, probably carried around in the house or something like that, but maybe didn't use it. Like, I can see from the blade that it is fairly immaculate. You can take a look at that and see that there's just one little mark there. I actually think it might be a little pitting, like it might be a little corrosion. But overall, it's immaculate. Like, the thing cuts through paper like crazy. Let me see if I can find something here anonymous enough. It is one of the amazing things about these knives is you'll never see an edge like it. It is on a different level. You almost just like can't look at the edge. It's like almost that kind of situation where you almost like can't see the edge. It's almost invisible because it's so reflective. And it was really dirty. So I took it apart, found inside it was very greasy. It didn't have good lockup. So if you watch the first video, you'll see I checked the lockup and it had play in it. So I took it apart, which I'd never done a Rockstead breakdown before, but it was actually amazingly simple. You take apart the pivot hardware and this back screw and the whole thing comes apart. It's actually amazing. It's amazing that the thing has such good centering and action. I'm just gonna run through this action real quick for you. Like, it is so crisp and so smooth. I've never really felt a knife like it, except for my other Rockstead, of course. But it had clearly been, I would call played with. I've heard the term fondled. The guy had spent some time with it. You can see it on the pocket clip here, just from holding. You can see it on, like around here, the wear on some of the blue anodized. The reason I thought it was maybe carried, even though he said it wasn't, is because up here at the tip, there's quite a bit of wear, indicative of going in and out of the pocket right here. So that to me is interesting. Now, I don't know if this is from the factory, but I also see this kind of marking here on the carbon fiber. So I'm not sure if that's from wear or from the factory. I would think, based on the rest of it, that it's maybe some sort of staining, but I'm not 100% sure. So I reported all that back to him, talked through it, and we worked out a deal that I'm happy with. And now I have what I'd call like a user Rockstead if I want, because it's just a pleasure to operate. But at the same time, like, it's not quite what I'd call collector level cleanliness. So I wanted to make sure I didn't pay collector level price on it, and I didn't. What else do I have to say about it? I mean, it's amazing feel in hand is one of the things that's really stood out to me. It's, pretty rounded. I haven't even gotten to try putting this in the pocket yet. I'd say it's probably not the best feel in the pocket if I had to guess. I prefer like kind of a flat scale in the pocket. There's always a trade-off between the pocket and the hand, I feel like. Getting in the pocket doesn't feel bad. So I could definitely see pocketing this with some pants or whatever. I wonder what the weight is on this knife. Let's see if we can get a quick look at that. So 4.78 ounces, it's not too crazy. It's definitely on the heavy side of what most people would carry, but it's not like a big Demco or something that's 7 ounces, right? So it's not a Medford or something nuts. It's a beautiful knife. I'm actually really excited to have it as something that I don't mind just leaving out of the box and having here on the table. One of the problems that I have with my other one is I never want to touch it. It has the polished black titanium scales, and it's like I don't want to get fingerprints on it and stuff. So to have a Rockstead that like I don't mind messing around with because of what it's been through, and yet it's also still this good. Like the blade's not all, you know, there's really, I think I could see like one light scratch on the blade on this side and one ding right back here on this side. The blade is near perfect. That's pretty exciting and pretty compelling. So I decided to make it work with him and keep it in order to have something that I could, you know, really just kind of have around. One of the things that you fear with a 67 Rockwell hardness knife is breaking the tip. This one already has it slightly impacted. It's not like what I'd call broken off quite, but it's like slightly impacted, almost chipped at the tip. So it's not like really bad. You almost can't tell with the naked eye. It's like very close, but it makes it very easy to feel like a little less scared about it potentially, you know, breaking the tip off because it's already messed up a little bit. So I ended up, you know, this is a $1,500 knife new. If you buy it from Knife Center in my state, you're going to pay tax on that. So you're going to pay about $1,625 shipped to buy this knife. And I paid a lot less than that. So I feel good about having one. Given what it is, it's a knife that is certainly a great one to be a collector, save in the safe. And I may still pursue one like that in this format. But this particular scale, to me, versus my other one that's the titanium, to me, this particular scale just begs to be used. It begs to be carried a little bit. So I'm kind of thrilled in a way that it worked out how it did, because the opportunity to do this, it took me a day to digest it. I felt kind of crummy the last day. Like I didn't, you know, I got kind of, I don't want to say, like I don't think it was malicious, but that I got a little bit hoodwinked. But I've been able to sort of digest it and get pretty excited about having this as something that's going to sit here on the desk and be a good comparable knife, because it's one of those ones that I don't mind leaving outside of the box at this point. And it cleaned up really nicely. I posted some pictures of the cleanup. I thought about doing the cleanup on video, but I'd never worked on one of these, and like some of those like take apart videos have taken so long, and I get nervous, and I'm trying to do two things at once. This is such an expensive knife. I really just wanted to dedicate my full attention to it. And so I did that. It took maybe like 45 minutes, since I wasn't rushing. I was taking pictures as I was going and stuff. Took it apart. There's a ton of grease around here. There's some, you know, dust and stuff, lint and whatnot inside the scales. Got it all knocked down. It had been opened and closed so many times, it actually had a little bit of play in it. And it was so dirty, like I tightened it down about as hard as I felt comfortable doing, and I could not get the play out. After I took it apart, I found, you know, everything, the bearings, not the bearings, sorry, the washers were pretty worn down. And you know, there's a lot of grease around them and stuff. So I got all of that out. I think I went through about 3 tissues, and I used 2 different rags, got everything off of here that I could, and got it to as, you know, I could probably spend twice as much time and get it 10% better or whatever. But I got it to a state that I felt really good about. Threw a little bit of just basic lubricant on it and threw it back in there. I actually want to throw like maybe a little bit of a thicker lubricant on the detent. The detent feels a little light with what I put on there, but I'll probably put a little bit of a different lubricant on there, some heavier stuff. But it is really sweet. It now has perfect lockup, just no play whatsoever. And as soon as I got that lockup, I was like, yes! I felt really good once I felt that the lockup was tight on it. I was like, okay, I've got a good knife on my hands here. This is, you know, call it a user or whatever, but it's a good knife. You know, you don't want play in your blades. That drives me crazy more than almost anything, is some wiggle in the blade, especially on a knife this nice. You just really don't want that. So that was exciting and a great moment in my knife collecting history, I think, after a kind of long day of talking back and forth with the seller and figuring out what to do. And I felt bad because the guy, you know, really wanted the money and stuff. So, you know, I just said, hey, here's where I'm at. Like, here's what I'd be worth to me. Might be worth more to someone else. If you want me to send it back, I'll pay for the shipping back, and I'll pay for the shipping that you sent it to me. I'll cover all the costs. And I'm sorry it didn't work out, but he came back and said, you know what, you got it. Pay me the rest of the money, and let's make this happen. And I just committed to him that if for whatever reason this thing sold for more than what I bought it for from him, that I would share that profit with him. And you know, hopefully you do right by people and good things happen in the long run. You make friends and your life just gets easier over time. I'm a big believer in doing right by people, and tried to do my best on this situation while, you know, feeling a little bit like I'd gotten, you know, not quite what I had looked for, just with all this wear and stuff. It's not quite the condition I normally buy knives in when I go pre-owned. Or if I do, I just, you know, make sure the price is right and I'm gonna get it for the right reason. I just don't buy a knife like this as a user typically. But now that I've, you know, kind of got a little sweat equity in it, I'm pretty enthused about how it came out, and pretty excited to have this one in the collection after I've been looking for one of these for months. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful model, and an amazing action, an amazing blade. There's just so much to like about it, and glad it worked out how it did. And probably some lessons learned for next time. So I think that's all for now. I'll probably spend some time doing some use with this, or some carry or something. I got to decide what to do with it. I still haven't fully committed to one or the other, whether it's a collector or a carry for me. But once I do, I may do like a review of it. I think it'd be a really interesting knife to review. It'll be a very low value score, because I think the value's there if you appreciate the fit, finish, and if you're not familiar with this, the amount of work and hours they put into, you know, doing this this blade finish, you know, where you're basically doing, is this a, it's a flat grind, I guess, or a convex or something, but it's not a, you know, a typical finish. You're starting here and going all the way to the edge, and you're doing that equally on both sides, all the way up to the tip. It's a level of knife making profession that I think few knife makers ever achieve. And yeah, it's just a unique thing to observe, handle, and appreciate. So I'm pretty excited to have it here, to get to, you know, work with it a little bit without feeling bad, if that makes sense. And we'll see how what the future holds for this knife. But hope you enjoyed this one. Those are my thoughts coming out of the first video, and then spending some time on it today, getting it to a good spot. And that's all for now. So I will see you on the next one, and take care.